Jeremy Corbyn is a name you could hardly have missed over the past year or so, but he's only really come to the public's attention recently. Mr Corbyn has been the MP of Islington North since 1983 and has been an outspoken backbencher for the majority of his career. Mr Corbyn was particularly critical of the Iraq War and spoke a number of times in 2003 at rallies and protests against it. He was in fact appointed a member of the Parliamentary Inquiry into the Iraq War in 2011. He was well known during his time on the backbenches for frequently voting against free line whip motions. However, Jeremy Corbyn only really came to the eye of the public when he was elected leader of the Labour Party in 2015, winning the leadership election by a landslide. As you can guess, he was very popular amongst Labour Party voters, receiving nearly 60% of the vote, over 40% more than his closest rival. Despite this, Mr Corbyn was unpopular with many Labour MPs, both on the backbenches and in the shadow cabinet. After a year of leadership which was largely perceived as ineffective by the majority of the media, politicians from other parties and even members of his own party, Owen Jones launched the leadership challenge. Critics focused on his failure to have a strong stance on Brexit amongst other issues, and to voice their dismay, several members of the shadow cabinet resigned. However, Mr Corbyn's public popularity came to the fore once again. Jeremy Corbyn won 62% of the vote and was resoundingly re-elected as Labour leader. Jumping forward to 2017, Theresa May's decision to call a snap election appeared to galvanise Corbyn as Labour leader. When the election was first announced, opinion polls had Corbyn at 17%, which would have suggested a heavy defeat for Labour in the election, and that the Conservatives could get a parliamentary majority as high as 150. However, over the following leaks he was a leader transformed, giving rousing speeches to massive crowds as you have seen. The Labour Party managed to narrow the Conservative lead to 9 points and managed to prevent them from winning a majority in the election. In the month after the election, the Labour Party took a lead in the opinion polls. A great deal of this success is due to Corbyn's newfound popularity as a leader. Social media can be seen as a real driving force behind Corbyn's newfound popularity. He is a very memeable individual and his far-left politics have captured the public's attention. He really does offer something different as a leader. Jeremy Corbyn can be seen as the first real example of how social media has created a new form of personality politics. But could there be a new contender to Jeremy Corbyn's social media crown?
What are your views on same-sex marriage? Is that something you support?
I'm a Catholic and I take the teaching of the Catholic Church seriously in matters of faith and
Catholics who support same-sex marriage.
But marriage is a sacrament, and the decision of what is a sacrament lies with the Church, not with Parliament.
OK, does that mean that you oppose same-sex marriage?
I support the teaching of the Catholic Church.
Can I just establish, do you oppose same-sex marriage? I support the teaching of the Catholic Church.
Jacob Rees-Mogg is a very outspoken politician, although his views seem to be a lot more controversial in today's political scene, and certainly sparking more public outcry than Jeremy Corbyn's views. Born to William Rees-Mogg, a former editor of The Times, vice chairman of the BBC, and House of Lords life peer, Jacob was educated at Eton College before attending university at Oxford. Mr Rees-Mogg first became involved in politics in 1997 when he stood for a staunchly Labour seat in Scotland, where he was defeated by a large margin. He was criticised for being too posh for the lower class voters in the constituency to get behind, and that is a criticism that's been levied against him for much of his political career. However, his being viewed as posh has actually been one of the major driving forces behind his popularity on social media. His popularity came rather out of the blue though, as even though Jacob Rees-Mogg has stood in every single general election since 1997, he never won a parliamentary seat until 2010. However, he really has made the seat he won in North East Somerset his own, winning large majorities in 2010, 2015 and 2017. Mr Rees-Mogg has been a favourite of the right-wing press since the rise of YouTube into widespread popular culture in 2013, appearing a number of times on Channel 4, particularly in their online content. The way he speaks his mind about contentious issues from a right-wing point of view has created an effect similar to that of Donald Trump, with large numbers of right-wing voters voicing support for him. Rees-Mogg is also a very Eurosceptic individual, and his public support of the Vote Leave campaign has also created a large Brexit-supporting fan base. Most recently, he has become even more popular due to the middle-class memes for Rees-Moggian Teens page on Facebook, and as of November 2017, the page has just under 50,000 likes. What speaks out most strongly for his newfound popularity was a survey by the website Conservative Home, which found more Tory voters want him to be the next Prime Minister than anyone else. Jacob Rees-Mogg's popularity is on the up, and he could very well be going head-to-head with Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader versus Conservative leader in the very near future. Social media has unarguably been a decisive factor for both of them and their newfound popularity, and you're very likely to hear more about them in the coming years.